Welcome back, everybody, to Two Guys and a Stack of Comics. I am Reed, joined as always by Mike. Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I got the stack of comics for us.
Yeah,
Now
absolutely.
that we're not doing them at the comic shop anymore, you know.
We'll make our way back. Weekends kind of making this have some virtual edition. Um,
Yeah,
we're getting the weather cranking up here.
yeah.
But what we wanted to talk a little bit about today, me and Mike have been going through, we've been friends about a decade. One of the things we've always done, we've enjoyed comic book movies, seen a lot of them at the theaters together, rewatched a lot of them. And as we watch some of these movies, there's characters that we feel like really were underserved or done, done incorrectly in the films. And one character that Mike and I both agree on is the Hulk in the MCU. Is a character that we feel like did not get the justice that he deserved.
And it
Um,
was so striking how those first two Hulk movies, just really I enjoyed both of them. And we even did a video on that first one, The Lost
oh yeah,
Gem.
we've got the Eric Bana movie from 2003. I think Mike and
Yeah,
I both believe that's one of the best comic book movies ever made. It's one of my personal favorites. I know it's one of
I
mine
know.
as well.
And it gets so much hate online. And it's like, yeah, it's not the MCU. The MCU wasn't invented yet.
Mm.
But where you could have gone with that character and that actor, and then you get a guy like Ed Norton playing him in that famous line. He's like, "Okay, you want me in a tube underground in one of the most aggressive cities on the planet? How do you think that's going to be a good idea?"
No,
Um,
you had the Incredible Hulk film with Ed Norton. I think Mike and I both really love that film. Really, our issue starts kind of when they change the actor to Mark Ruffalo. And this is nothing against Mark Ruffalo. I think he did a very good job. I think his first appearance in the Avengers, Hulk was the standout character in the first Avengers film.
he could have easily had his own movie.
Yep. And then it kind of seems like studio dynamics behind the scenes with Universal and Disney kind of pushed it to where the Hulk was only a bit player. Once Disney kind of got involved and totally took over Marvel, it kind of seemed like the Hulk lost his importance. And I think you saw basically after that first Avengers movie, he was largely turned into a supporting bit player. And
Yeah,
they kind of just took all of his storylines and got rid of them. Uh,
yeah.
and it was really sad to see.
I mean, they chose instead to focus on Black Widow and some other characters. And then they even did the Guardians of the Galaxy. So they went in these different directions, but it just would have been so cool. Like you had your solo Iron Man movie,
Mhm.
right? You had your solo Captain America movie, right? You even had your solo Black Panther movie. Um, you could have had a solo Hulk movie that
Well,
was part of
you
that
had that
universe.
early one, but I think the thing is, the Hulk is definitely a character that's worthy of a trilogy of films.
Yeah,
Every other character got multiple films, and the
Thor got two. Did he get? Oh,
Thor's
he
at
got,
four at this point.
oh,
No,
well, we don't count that other one. Yeah.
Cap had three, Iron Man had three. You had three Guardians of the Galaxy films, three Ant-Man films, and sure, there's varying quality on it, but the
Do you
Hulk
think it?
largely became a bit player.
Do you think it was in part because you can't get talent like Ed Norton to reprise the role, but
Yeah,
you
I mean,
know,
definitely, I think Ed Norton leaving the role hurt it for me. And I don't have any problem with Mark Ruffalo. I think he did a great job. To me, the Ed Norton version of the Hulk that we get in The Incredible Hulk is one of the most accurate comic ones I've ever seen. I think
yeah,
it perfectly bridged the gap of like if you were a fan of the 70s, Bill Bixby Ferrigno TV show, mixed
yeah,
with comics, mixed with something that with the MCU would work. Um, I thought Eric Bana was great in the 2003 one, and Ruffalo was good. I feel like the thing that happened with the Hulk, and a lot of it when you read the behind the scenes stuff, Disney didn't want to make Hulk movies anymore because Universal would get distribution rights on them because of the deals that they
oh,
made. And so the
that behind the that boardroom table stuff.
all that stuff that makes fans furious because it basically
Yeah,
is corporations of billionaires arguing with billionaires over who gets to collect more millions. And so it's really fans who kind of lose out on that. I
yeah,
think the thing with the Hulk that stinks is, to me, the Hulk and me and Mike are both very much DC guys, but we love Marvel. The Hulk has always been one of the characters that I thought was unique in comics. in that the Hulk has always had such a cool story of the curse is the superpower.
Yeah.
That brought to life for a lot of other characters. But the Hulk and the Thing really are the two characters where the thing that makes them a hero also majorly isolates them.
And it ruins their life
Griefs.
completely. Yeah. In ways that it doesn't ruin the other heroes' life. When you got Peter Parker or Clark Kent, it's like it's a mild inconvenience that they have to lead a dual identity. But for Bruce Banner and for how come I can't think of the Thing's name right now?
Ben Grimm.
Ben Grimm, it's like it's devastating, absolutely devastating. And for the Hulk, it's like literally devastating because he doesn't know, he's always afraid, he's going to kill thousands of people.
Yeah, no, I thought one of the things the Ed Norton movie did so well, and this is where I think it was such a sharp contrast. You had that scene in the Incredible Hulk where him and Betty have reunited, and Betty starts kind of like kissing him and everything, and he's terrified of like I can't actually get too excited because if I
Yeah.
turn into the Hulk, I could kill you.
Yeah.
But while that was done for humor in that film, I thought again that was a great way of kind of the Hulk's life is terrifying because
Yeah.
at any time this thing that can make him super powerful could also kill people he loves. It makes him a fugitive. It
Yeah.
destroys his science career. It destroys his career as a professor. And that was to me, that tragedy of that character has always made the Hulk so compelling. And that's funny in that, like, I look at my long boxes of comics, a character like sneakily I own way more appearances than I thought is the Hulk. And then I
Yeah.
just kind of always naturally end up picking up his comic because that aspect of him is so interesting. And
Yeah.
what's weird is in the first appearance Ruffalo had with the Avengers film, they capitalized on that. He's kind of living in the outskirts of town. They have to recruit him. He's
Yeah.
terrified of using his abilities. It
Yeah.
was really after that Avengers movie ended that they turned him into kind of like a comedic sideshow.
Yeah. It was kind of
And
unfortunate.
I think the other one that I would really dislike, and again, we'll kind of talk about what we didn't like and then go through what we think should happen, and that we always want to keep this more positive and not just have this be a giant kind of trashing fest. I
Yeah.
think the movie that really broke the Hulk for me. I thought Age of Ultron, he was serviceable. I thought in Ragnarok, they actually integrated him pretty well into that film. It was really Infinity War and Endgame, and more specifically Endgame. But Infinity War, you have this beginning scene with him and Thanos fighting, and you just have the Hulk get whooped.
Yeah.
And then the rest of that movie, the Hulk is a non factor for comedic purposes, the rest of the film, it's the whole slapping himself with a tree to try to get himself angry, and he can't turn into the Hulk, and the Hulk's like literally yelling no. And I thought, okay, maybe there's a deep emotional character arc here. And then you go to Endgame, and it's basically he's dabbing in a cafe. He figured it out. He's kind of seen as like an idiot in the science community, and like, oh, well, he can't do things, so he's got to get Iron Man to fix it for him. They just didn't let him be good at anything. And then the biggest cardinal sin to me is you never gave him a rematch with Thanos. You just
Yeah.
let him get his butt whooped. Everybody else, Iron Man, Cap, Thor, gets their shot running at Thanos. The Hulk never gets that. The
I
Hulk kind
know.
of just gets brushed to the side.
It was such a missed opportunity, but I think like what you said, the powers that be that run around in the background and make all these final decisions about the film, and then there's a finite amount of time, and you're paying all the big bucks like in Endgame for all these high priced actors to get their cameos, and screen time is very short, and
Hmm.
he just got written to the sidelines. But definitely a missed opportunity, and yeah, Universal owns him, so that makes sense why they would just kind of
Well, then
leave
I
him
think
sidelines. But man,
even worse, they had him show up in She-Hulk.
yeah.
I stopped
and
watching
and
She-Hulk, but
if
that
I'm
first
not
episode,
mistaken, was he like the hybrid Hulk where he was just like
he's
he
what
was
they call Professor Hulk in the.
Professor Hulk? Yeah, he wasn't fully Hulkified. He was somewhere in between, and he had manipulated things to where he
Well,
existed in
no, and
that.
then they changed She-Hulk's origin to where it's not Bruce saving her with a blood transfusion. She saves him. And then she's lecturing him about how much tougher her life is than his. And I get it. You want to paint that Jennifer Walters has had a difficult life, but it's like that's not the character you lecture on. That the Hulk has literally had his entire life destroyed. He can't
Yeah,
find the woman he loves. He's hunted. He's seen as a monster.
yeah,
He's had all these tragedies happen. You know, if you know the Hulk's backstory from the comics, his father's an abusive jerk.
yeah,
He's had
yeah,
this awful life, and they've got her like lecturing him about how much more she has to control rage than him. And
yeah,
it smacked of people who just didn't care about the character. And I think that's ultimately what really stunk for me with the Hulk is the MCU is so good overall, but the
yeah.
Hulk is just this glaring weakness to me in that you had this fantastic character and you kind of just buried him to the side.
And when they revamp the MCU, um, do you think they'll go there, or because Universal is going to get a
I'm
cut, they're
hoping
not going to?
the weird thing is there's so many rumors with like this new Captain America movie that's coming out that we're going to get Thunderbolt Ross as the president, played by Harrison Ford, and that he'll be Red Hulk in the movie. There's rumors we're getting the leader in that movie, which the leader was teased all the way back in the Incredible Hulk. But the thing we haven't seen is we haven't seen the Hulk actually cast for that movie. So it kind of
Uh,
like they're even parching off parts of you know, his world and giving it to like Sam Wilson. And so
so is he going to get his own movie or no?
there's nothing docked for him. And I think that's going to be, I think the hard part is, I think that he's probably not going to because Disney does not, Universal has no incentive to sell the Hulk.
Yeah.
Disney has figured out this whole if we just put the Hulk as a side character, we get to keep using him, sell the merch, and we don't ever have to have Universal involved. And that it really just stinks with such a great and detailed character. Um,
Could Universal, and I'm not sure. Oh, Disney bought Fox. That's why they're doing Fantastic Four.
Fantastic Four and X Men. Yeah,
Yeah.
the two that I don't, I think the rights are up in the air is Namor and the Hulk, and that Universal kind of had claim on both of them, so they can use them. I just don't know that they can ever actually give them solo films. Um, which
But Universal could
no, I think Universal has to partner with Disney. So I think
to
that
make a Hulk movie.
it's kind of one of these things where Disney has them hostage, where Disney would have to greenlight the Hulk film, but they don't want to share, and so they're just going to keep using the Hulk as like a side character. And
That's
I
kind of
think that's
tragic.
difficult. I think
Yeah.
one of the things we always like to do is kind of what would me and you do if we were put in charge and you had this project, you get a Hulk film.
For the Hulk,
What would you like to see out of a Hulk film if you ever were put in that position?
you know, I I love the Immortal storyline.
Okay, yeah, that recent one from the comics, yeah.
That storyline was really good. It was very adult though.
Mm.
It was extremely violent, but that story arc was pretty amazing, and it's all written there for you. But of course, Disney would never do the Immortal, so that's shot. But if I were in
Yeah, this
charge,
was your project. What would you do?
yeah, I don't know. I think, of course, I love classic Hulk, so I would not mind going back to the traditional, storyline of him like just going from place to place, hiding out, and
Mhm.
getting into good trouble here and there, and but being afraid. That's the most. I love the idea of that first film, like he ended up in like Central America or South America somewhere. And you know, I want if I could go back in time and like I was directing the sequel to that movie, I would play off of that timeline. Like he's stuck in the jungle, but what a difference he might make here and there. And
Yeah, I think that's a great place to go with it. Um,
yeah, because he could go so far as to, like he helps destroy the drug trade, and the people come to see him as a savior and a hero. And then you could have international intrigue where the United States like sees him in a helicopter or whatever, like why, what's going on, why are things changing here for the better, and catch the Hulk in action. They're like, oh, we know who that is. That's where that guy is, and then they could go and try and get him because Ross always has to try and control him.
yeah, no, I think that'd be a heck of a film. I think that's the Drifter version of the Hulk. And a
Yeah.
lot of great comic book runs. I want to say it's Kelly Jones.
Even the TV show, it tugged at your
Captain Perfect.
heartstrings.
I
Yeah.
It was Kelly Jones, I think, in the early 2000s who wrote it. I may be wrong on that. But he wrote a great Hulk run where he was kind of just traveling and avoiding, authorities. I think he was framed for something that they made it seem like he had killed someone. And so he was, but I think, one of the things is my favorite book series outside of James Bond is a series called the Jack Reacher books. And in that book, Reacher is largely just a drifter who just wants autonomy to walk around the country and get away from trouble. And of course, being the book, he's always going to find trouble in whatever town he goes to.
Yeah.
I think that would be the essence of the Hulk. I think the
That's
Hulk being a character, and I think what I've always loved about the Hulk narratively is, like we said, the superpowers, the curse, and the whole thing that Bruce Banner's trying to do is just, I can't control this, but maybe I can aim it. I think
yeah.
that's a line from the Edward Norton movie,
Yeah.
when they send him in to fight the Abomination. And just that, like you said, you could easily put him in a scenario, goes maybe, some young woman's taking care of him, protecting him, and like the cartel's hunting her. And so
Yeah.
he's fighting it the whole time, and he goes like, "Nope, I gotta let the Hulk out. I gotta protect this lady," or something like that. I think that would capture the inherent tragedy of that character. The other part that I think you have to put into Hulk stuff, and it drove me insane in the films, the way they disregarded Betty Ross drives me insane. In
Yeah.
that, I know in modern Hulk comics they've kind of drifted away from her, but she is such an essential part of the Hulk's storylines. And that they largely bury that for this half-baked Black Widow romance that popped up in Age of Ultron out of nowhere, which I
Yeah.
think Joss Whedon was trying to do some sort of Beauty and the Beast storyline, just didn't work. Betty not being involved in the Hulk story is literally, to me, like if you would do a Superman film and there's no Lois Lane.
I
And you
know. And I think they did it well in the first movie.
no,
Yeah.
it's one of those things where Betty to me as a character is so essential because it's like it's a strength of character. And again, it's one of these things where we try to redefine characters by modern standards. Betty is such a great character in that, like, what strength of character it takes through all that adversity to be the stand-up person who's like, no, I will not give up on this person. That's an incredible strength of character, and
Yeah.
I just disregarded that. And there's all this tendency now, to turn Betty into Red She-Hulk and different stuff. And maybe you can do that down the line. But I think a Hulk movie where maybe you have a dual narrative of Betty's trying to find him, and he's kind of a drifter who's going through these different towns helping people. Even though he's trying desperately to stay out of it, I think would be great. Largely, what's crazy is I think that Incredible Hulk movie just captured the Ed Norton one captured so well what the Hulk is. And it was really just jarring to see how much it changed from that first initial appearance. And even I'll give Ruffalo credit, no shade on Ruffalo in this at all. I think he was very likable. His
Yeah.
first outing in the Avengers was great. And then they kind of just turned him into a joke. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm hoping at some point with Marvel, seeing their movie sales dip like that, I'm hoping at some point the Hulk's a character that they realize, like, hey, there's a lot of potential here, and that he is one of Marvel's most recognizable characters. You see merchandise of the Hulk everywhere.
The
He's really
kids love
an
Hulk.
opportunity.
The little kids, they love the Hulk.
No, I mean my 2-year-old. He's
They
in,
understand. They understand his rage.
yeah.
At 2 and 3, I remember when Jackson was a little tyke. At
Mhm.
2, 3, 4, he loved the Hulk. Arr, smash! He had the little hands that made the smash noise.
They gravitate toward the Hulk. It's funny. My toddler, he's 2 or 3.
Yeah.
We try very hard. I tried hard to push Batman and other characters. He has just gravitated to the Hulk in such a strong way, and I think there is something to that character that is just inherently interesting. And I think it's one of those things, the universal theme of like having to control your rage. Do you control your demons or do they control you? It's a great story that anyone can relate to.
And
And
especially when you're like 3, 4, and 5. And
you just
your
kind of
sister's
wish
always picking on you.
you wish you could kind of Hulk out when you're that age. Like when you're mad, man, they won't give you your juice or whatever. And it's just like you just wish you could take.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping we get some great Hulk content in the future. I do think right now, kind of, we always want to spotlight comics. Philip Kennedy Johnson's the current writer on the Hulk. They're doing a great Hulk comic right now. And as you mentioned, that Immortal Hulk run from Al Ewing, both really good modern Hulk comics. I feel like Hulk's one of the characters in the 2020s that has actually been done well in comics, which is pretty rare for some of the modern, Marvel and DC folks.
There's
Uh,
a lot of Marvel fans out there that have really hung on to Marvel just because of Hulk.
yeah,
I know a few of them in the comic book club.
for sure, for sure. But let us know what you think below. How do you think the MCU handled the Hulk? Do you think it was a missed opportunity? What would you do if you were put in charge of a Hulk project with Marvel? And as always, thank you for joining us here on Two Guys in a Stack of Comics. We will see you guys in our next video.
See ya.